We continue a Voyage East knit-along using the Teapot and Cups square. In this video, we will show you how to embroider the teapot lid in duplicate stitch. In this video, I am using the Teapot and Cup square to demonstrate duplicate stitch. You notice on the chart here, there are little V's inside of a blue box along the lid of the teapot. This is what creates the shape of the lid. And the reason these are blue with a little white V in them is it represents, if you look at the key, it represents number 11, which is the turquoise yarn, this color, in duplicate stitch. So whenever a chart says to work something in duplicate stitch, you do not work these blue stitches while you are knitting. You will continue with the black background, whatever is the background, and in this case it's the black for the teapot. And then when the square is all done, you will go back in and embroider the duplicate stitch. If you have not done duplicate stitch before, or even if you haven't done it in a long time, you might want to practice on a square first, a square of knitting first, just to get used back into the groove or to actually learn it. So I am demonstrating duplicate stitch on this gauge swatch that was done for this afghan in the color 01. I believe this was the color 01. So you can see the stitches nice and clearly here, and I think it will make it easier for you to see how it's done. What you need to do the duplicate stitch is this yarn needle. I like a yarn needle always has a rather large eye so that you can fit yarn through it. I like the kind with a bent tip, but you can also use a yarn needle with a straight tip, either one. You're going to cut a length of yarn. Try not to make it too long. Think about what you need. In this case, it's just a few stitches across the top here. So cut a length of yarn, thread it into the eye of your yarn needle, and then we're going to begin. So duplicate stitch is really a way to cover the V of the knit stitches in stockinette on the right side. So you're adding a particular color, normally a contrast color, in a small area with embroidery rather than knitting it in. You could knit this in, but it's kind of fussy for just these very few stitches. So the duplicate stitch makes it an easy way to do this. So you're going to also need to follow your chart while you're doing it. But I'm just going to show you the basics right now, and then I'll demonstrate on the actual square. So to start with the duplicate stitch, you have to, once your needle is threaded, you're going to start from the wrong side and you're going to locate the stitch that you need to cover first. So let's say this is the stitch I want to cover. You're going to insert your needle from behind into the center of that V of the stitch you want to cover. And you're going to pull your yarn through, and you want to leave a little bit of an end on the back. So you have your yarn, contrasting yarn coming out of the center of the stitch you want to cover. You're going to skip that stitch, and in the stitch above that, you're going to insert your needle under both legs of that V of the stitch above the stitch that you want to cover, like so, and pull your yarn through. And there you have covered the first half of the stitch. To work the second half, you're going to insert your needle into the same place that you originally brought it through and pull the yarn, and as you can see, you have a nice V made over the stitch that you want covered. And if you look at the chart, you can see that would be the first stitch that I want to cover. The next stitch is down one row and over one. So you look at your yarn and you go down one, not into this one, and one to the left, and you want to bring that needle up through the center of that stitch. One row over and one row down. Then You skip the stitch that you want to cover, insert the needle through both legs of the stitch above, pull it through, and back down into where you first came from the back. And there you see you have covered 2 stitches, and it actually covers and makes the look of a knit stitch. Now also be careful of your tension. You don't want to pull it too tight, but you also want to make sure it covers the stitches, so you don't want it to be too loose as well. So if you look here on your chart, you've done 1, 2 stitches. Now you're going to skip these 2 orange stitches, so when you're doing it on the actual teapot, you will be able to see where that next stitch is. Here I don't have the orange, but I count over 2 stitches from what I just did, and you want to go into the center of that stitch right across. Bring it up, skip the stitch above, insert the yarn through the 2 legs, pull it through. Now at some point you don't have to keep, you can, when you put your needle back down and you know that you want to go to the next stitch, you can just bring it right over and under. You don't have to pull it through. You can do it in like one quick step. And there you have that stitch covered, and you have the yarn coming up exactly where you want it. So when you go across, now you know you have to do 3 of these stitches in a row. You don't have to, you can just easily put it down into the stitch you just finished and up into the center of the next stitch. And that just eliminates one step. And there I have finished my 3 stitches in a row. And you just continue following the chart as you go. If we want, let's do 1 more. You've done 3 here. Now you have to go down 1 and over 1. So I'm not going to go into this stitch. I'm going to go in the stitch below. So you insert your needle into that stitch below and to the left, and cover that next stitch. So there are the basics of duplicate stitch. I'm going to come back and show you a little bit more on the actual square. I have now completed most of the duplicate stitches on the finished square. As you can see, I've done all the way up to the last 2 stitches that are right here I'm going to end up at the top of this orange handle. So I'm going to show you how I complete these last 2 stitches for you. So my needle was on the back. I need to decide where I'm going to bring the needle up. So on the chart, I've done these 3 blue. Now I need to go over 1 and up 1. So I need to go into the stitch over to the left of the blue and up 1. So you insert my needle there. Create the first half. Then I'm going to insert back down and come up over and up 1 stitch, and I am going to be right there under that orange stitch of the square. Pull that through. Go through the 2 legs of that orange square. Pull the yarn up and down through to the bottom. And I have completed the teapot lid. These are the basics of duplicate stitch. I hope you'll enjoy doing it. I think once you get the hang of it, it's really, and you get the rhythm in it, it is a lot of fun, and it's a easy technique and great to fill in spaces. Let's say also you've made a mistake. Let's say that you did an extra orange up here and it was supposed to be in the blue, you can actually, rather than worrying about it, you can duplicate stitch over that wrong color with the correct color. So it's a way of fixing some mistakes as well. So I hope you enjoy doing duplicate stitch.